because the Indian Prime Minister is about to address the Congress in a short while from now. I was talking about the gifts. The Indian Prime Minister also brought a slew of gifts for the hosts. First Lady Jill Biden was gifted a 7.5 carat lab-grown green diamond. The diamond has reportedly been created using eco-friendly sources like solar and wind power. The diamond was presented in an exquisite artisan box, highlighting timeless Kashmiri craftsmanship. The US President was gifted an ancient Indian text that acknowledges and celebrates his lifetime. The text, called Vaikanas, marks the milestone of a person who has seen 1,000 full moons as he completes the age of 80 years and 8 months. The scriptures came in a special sandalwood box, which has been intricately carved by a Rajasthan craftsman. The Prime Minister also presented a first edition copy of the 10 principal Upanishads, which was written by William Butler Yeats, a poet highly admired by Joe Biden. Once again, what you see on the right on your screen is the US Congress that is live at the Capitol Hill. And the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to address the members of the Congress in a short while from now. He has arrived at the Capitol Hill. He has already taken photos with some members of the Congress. We are waiting to hear what the Prime Minister is going to tell the members of Congress at the Capitol Hill. Remember, this is the second time that the Indian Prime Minister is addressing the Congress in the United States. And after this, he will head back to the White House, where he will be hosted for a dinner with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and his wife, the First Lady, Jill Biden. And right before the Indian Prime Minister departed for the Capitol Hill, I believe the session has begun. Let's listen in.
Come to order. The chair appoints members of the committee on part of the House to escort His Excellency Narendra Modi into the chamber. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Stefanik. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. McCall. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Waltz. The gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Barr. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Fitzpatrick. The gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Gallagher. The gentlewoman from California, Mrs. Kim. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Rouser. The gentleman from South Dakota, Mr. Johnson. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark. The gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar. The gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Delbin. The gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Neguse. The gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Meeks. The gentleman from California, Mr. Barra. The gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Jayapal. The gentleman from California, Mr. Khanna. The gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Krishnamurti. The gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Tanadar. The members of the escort. Oh, sorry.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the Committee on the part of the Senate to escort His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of the Republic of India, into the House chamber. The Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. The Senator from Virginia, Mr. Warner. The Senator from New Jersey, Mr. Menendez. The Senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell. the Senator from West Virginia, Mrs. Capito, the Senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernst, the Senator from Montana, Mr. Daines, and the Senator from Idaho, Mr. Risch. That is.
The members of the Escort Committee will exit the chamber through the lobby doors.
Well, this is live at the U.S. Capitol Hill, the U.S. Congress to be precise. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris have called the Congress to order. They are now waiting for the senators and the members who have been chosen to bring in the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the members of the Congress in a short while from now. So we await the entry of the Indian Prime Minister at the Congress. Once again, this is the second time the Indian Prime Minister is addressing the US Congress. So this speech will be significant and is very symbolic. The Indian Prime Minister is on a 4-day tour of the US. He has already met the President of the United States, Joe Biden. They've had a myriad of discussions which include relationship between America and India, and several bilaterals have been signed between the Prime Minister and the President of the United States. After the Indian Prime Minister gives his speech at the Congress, he will head back to the White House, where he is expected to be hosted for a dinner with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and his wife, the First Lady, Jill Biden. And there you go. The Indian Prime Minister has entered the Congress. Let's listen in and wait for his speech. I did say that the Indian Prime Minister has entered the Congress, but he hasn't. We are still waiting for him to enter the chamber and give his speech to the members of the Congress. Once again, I will say this is the second time that the Indian Prime Minister is addressing
the President's cabinet.
Is addressing the US Congress. So this is quite symbolic for India and also the United States. After this speech, the Indian Prime Minister will head back to the White House for a state dinner, which is hosted by the President of the United States and the First Lady, Jill Biden. We did give you a glimpse of what will be on the menu. So that will also be a major highlight of the Indian Prime Minister's tour of the United States, which comes to an end tomorrow. And this visit or tour by the Indian Prime Minister has indicated the relationship or partnership between the United States and India. The Prime Minister will also meet business leaders and companies which are willing to invest in India, which the Prime Minister did point out during the joint press conference with the US President Joe Biden. So they did talk about an array of issues which include bilateral relationships between America and India, and how India can play a global role in addressing issues that are both geopolitical and social. The Indian Prime Minister did point out that India will still strive to be the voice of the global South. He did also point out that he wants, or he is seeking, the inclusion of the African Union in the group of 20 nations. And he did reiterate that the President of the United States does support the inclusion of the African Union in the G20. Remember, India holds the presidency of the G20 for this year, and the Indian Prime Minister did invite the US President to attend the summit, which will be held in September this year. So we are still waiting for the Prime Minister to make his way into the chamber of the US Congress for his second speech before the members of the Congress. This is quite significant for the Indian Prime Minister during his 4-day US tour. And I have to mention, after his US trip, the Indian Prime Minister will be heading to Egypt. That's another tour which will be closely watched. The Indian Prime Minister has indicated several times about the camaraderie between the President of Egypt, that's El-Sisi, and himself. Actually, the President of Egypt was in India a couple of months ago, and he did extend an invitation to the Indian Prime Minister to pay a visit to his country. And it seems the Indian Prime Minister will honor that visit. Egypt is currently facing a financial or currency crisis, and it's seeking assistance from both the IMF and other world leaders to rescue the country's economy from a possible recession or even inflation. So focus will be on whether the Indian Prime Minister will rescue Egyptians from this crisis. Once again, this is live at the Capitol Hill, and any moment from now, we are expecting the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, to give his second speech before the members of the Congress. And after that, he will head back to the White House for a state dinner hosted by President of the United States and First Lady Jill Biden. Already, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the US Vice President Kamala Harris have opened the floor. Let's listen in and wait for the Indian Prime Minister to make his entry to the chamber.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, distinguished members of the U.S. Congress, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. It is always a great honor to address the United States Congress. It is an exceptional privilege to do so twice. For this honor, I extend my deepest gratitude on behalf of the 1.4 billion people of India. I see that nearly half of you were here in 2016. I feel your warmth as old friends. I can also see the enthusiasm of a new friends in the other half. I remember Senator Harry Reid, Senator John McCain, Senator Orrin Hatch, Elijah Cummings, Elsie Hastings, and others who I met here in 2016 and who are sadly no longer with us. Mr. Speaker, standing here 7 Junes ago, that is the June when Hamilton swept all the awards, I said that the hesitations of history were behind us. Now, when our era is at a crossroads, I am here to speak about our calling for this century. Through the long and widening road that we have traveled, we have made the test of friendship. A lot has changed since I came here 7 summers ago. But a lot has remained the same, like our commitment to deepen the friendship between India and the United States. In the past few years, there have been many advances in AI, artificial intelligence. At the same time, there have been even more momentous development in another AI, America and India. Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, the beauty of democracy is the constant connect with the people, to listen to them and feel their pulse. And I know this takes a lot of time, energy, effort, and travel. It is a Thursday afternoon, a fly-out day for some of you. So I am grateful for your time. I also know how busy you have been this last month. Being a citizen of a vibrant democracy, myself, I can admit one thing, Mr. Speaker, you have a tough job. I can relate to the battles of patience, persuasion, and policy. I can understand the debate of ideas and ideology. But I am delighted to see you come together today to celebrate the bond between world's two great democracies, India and the United States. I'm happy to help out. I'm happy to help out whenever you need a strong bipartisan consensus. There will be and there must be a contest of ideas at home. But we must also come together as one when we speak for our nation. And you have shown that you can do it. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, the foundation of America was inspired by the vision of a nation of equal people. Throughout your history, you embrace people from around the world, and you have made them equal partners in the American dream. There are millions here who have roots in India. Some of them sit proudly in this chamber. And there is one behind me. who has made history. I am told that the Samosa caucus is now the flavor of the house. I hope it grows and brings the full diversity of Indian cuisine here. Over 2 centuries, we have inspired each other through the lives of great Americans and Indians. We pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. We also remember many others who work for liberty, equality, and justice. Today, I also wish to pay heartfelt tribute to one of them, Congressman John Lewis. Mr. Speaker, democracy is one of our sacred and shared values. It has evolved over a long time and taken various forms of systems. Throughout history, however, one thing has been clear. Democracy is the spirit that supports equality and dignity. Democracy is the idea that welcomes debate and discourse. Democracy is the culture that gives wings to thought and expression. India is blessed to have such values from times immemorial. In the evolution of the democratic spirit, India is the mother of democracy. Millennia ago, our oldest scripture said, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. It means that truth is one, but the wise express it in a different ways. Now, the US is the oldest and India the largest democracy. Our partnership augurs well for the future of democracy. Together, we shall give a better future to the world and a better world to the future. Mr. Speaker, last year, India celebrated 75 years of its independence. Every milestone is important, but this one was a special. We celebrated a remarkable journey of over 75 years of freedom after 1,000 years of foreign rule in one form or another. This was not just a celebration of democracy, but also of diversity. Not just of constitution, but also of its spirit of a social empowerment. Not just of our competitiveness and cooperative federalism, but also of our essential unity and integrity. We have over 2,500 political parties. Yes, you heard that right. 2,500. About 20 different parties govern various states of India. We have 22 official languages and thousands of dialects, and yet we speak in one voice. Every 100 miles, our cuisine changes. From dosa to aloo paratha, and from Sikhan to Sandesh. We enjoy all of this. We are home to all faiths in the world, and we celebrate all of them. In India, diversity is a natural way of life. Today, the world wants to know more and more about India. I see that. Curiosity in this house too. We were honored to receive over 100 members of the US Congress in India over the last decade. Everyone wants to understand India's development, democracy, and diversity. Everyone wants to know what India is doing right and how. Among close friends, I'm happy to share the same. Mr. Speaker, when I first visited the US as a Prime Minister, India was the 10th largest economy in the world. 10th. Today, India is the 5th largest economy. And India will be the 3rd largest economy soon. We are not only growing bigger, but we are also growing faster. When India grows, the whole world grows. After all, we are 1/6 of the world's population. In the last century, when India won its freedom, it inspired many other countries to free themselves from colonial rule. In this century, when India sets benchmark in growth, it will inspire many other countries to do the same. Our vision is सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास. It means together for everyone's growth, with everyone's trust and everyone's efforts. Let me share with you how this vision is translating into action with speed and scale. We are focusing on infrastructure development. We have given nearly 40 million homes to provide shelter to over 150 million people. That is nearly 6 times the population of Australia. We run a national health insurance program that ensures free medical treatment for about 500 million people. $500 million people, that is greater than the population of South America. We took banking to the unbanked with the world's largest financial inclusion drive. Nearly 500 million people benefited. This is close to the population of North America. We have worked on building digital India. Today, there are more than 850 million smartphones and internet users in the country. This is more than the population of Europe. We protected our people with 2.2 billion doses of made in India COVID vaccines. And that too free cost. I may be running out of continent soon, so I will stop here. Distinguished members, the Vedas are one of the world's oldest scriptures. They are a great treasure of humanity composed thousands of years ago. Back then, women sages composed many verses in these Vedas. And today, in modern India, women are leading us to a better future. India's vision is not just of development which benefits women. It is of women-led development where women lead the journey of progress. A woman has risen from a humble tribal background to be our head of states. Nearly 1.5 million elected women lead us at various levels. And that is of local governments. Today, women serve our country in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. India also has the highest percentage of women airline pilots in the world. And they have also put us on Mars by leading our Mars mission. I believe that investigating in a girl child lifts up the entire family. Empowering women transforms the nation. Mr. Speaker, India is an ancient nation with a youthful population. India is known for its traditions, but the younger generation is also making a hub of technology, be it creative reels on Insta or real-time payments. Coding or quantum computing, machine learning or mobile apps, fintech or data science, the youth of India are a great example of how a society can embrace latest technology. In India, technology is not about innovation, but also about inclusion. Today, digital performance are empowering the rights and dignity of people while protecting privacy. In the last 9 years, over 1 billion people got a unique digital biometric identity connected with their bank accounts and mobile phones. This digital public infrastructure helps us reach citizens within seconds with financial assistance. 850 million people receive direct benefit financial transfers into their accounts. 3 times a year, over 100 million farmers receive assistance in their bank accounts at the click of a button. The value of such transfer has crossed $320 billion. And we have saved over $25 billion in the process. If you visit India, you will see everyone is using phones for payments, including street vendors. Last year, out of every 100 real-time digital payments in the world, 46 happened in India. Nearly 400,000 miles of optical fiber cables and cheap data have ushered in a revolution of opportunities. Farmers check weather updates, the elderly get social security payments, students access scholarships, doctors deliver telemedicine, fishermen check fishing grounds, and small businesses get loans with just a tap on their phones. Mr. Speaker, a spirit of democracy, inclusion, and sustainability defines us. It also shapes our outlook to the world. India grows while being responsible about our planet. We believe, Mata Bhumihi Putro Aham Prithviyaha. This means the earth is our mother and we are her children. Indian culture deeply respects the environment and our planet. While becoming the fastest growing economy, we grew our solar capacity by 2,300%. Yes, you have heard right. 2,300%. We became the only G20 country to meet its Paris commitment. We made renewables account for over 40% of our energy sources, 9 years ahead of the target of 2030. But we did not stop there. At the Glasgow summit, I proposed Mission Life, lifestyle for environment. This is a way to make sustainability a true people's movement, to leave it to be the job of governments alone. By being mindful in making choices, every individual can make a positive impact. Making sustainability a mass movement, we help the world reach the net zero target faster. Our vision is pro-planet progress. Our vision is pro-planet prosperity. Our vision is pro-planet people. Mr. Speaker, we live by the motto of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or the world is one family. Our engagement with the world is for everyone's benefit. The one sun, one world, one grid seek to join us. All is connecting the world with clean energy. One Earth, One Health is a vision for global action to bring quality health care to everyone, including animals and plants. The same spirit is also seen in the theme when we chair the G20, One Earth, One Family, One Future. We advance the spirit of unity through yoga as well. Just yesterday, the whole world came together to celebrate the International Day of Yoga. Just last week, all nations joined our proposal at the UN to build a memorial wall to honor the peacekeepers. And this year, the whole world is celebrating the International Year of Millets to promote sustainable agriculture and nutrition alike. During COVID, we delivered vaccines and medicines to over 150 countries. We reach out to others, being disasters as first responders, as we do for our own. We share our modest resources with those who need them the most. We build capabilities, not dependencies. Mr. Speaker, when I speak about India's approach to the world, the United States occupy a special place. I know. Our relations are of great importance to all of you. Every member of this Congress has a deep interest in it. When defense and aerospace in India grow, industries in the state of Washington, Arizona, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania thrive. When American companies grow, their research and development centers in India thrive. When Indians fly more, a single order for aircrafts creates more than 1 million jobs in 44 states in America. When an American phone makers invest in India, it creates an entire ecosystem of jobs and opportunities in both countries. When India and US work together on semiconductors and critical minerals, it helps the world in making supply chains more diverse, resilient, and reliable. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we were strangers in defense cooperation at the turn of the century. Now, the United States has become one of our most important defense partners. Today, India and the US are working together in space and in the seas, in science and in semiconductors, in startups and sustainability, in tech and in trade, in farming and in finance, in art and artificial intelligence, in energy and education, in healthcare and humanitarian efforts. I can go on and go on, but to sum up it, I would say the scope of our cooperation is endless. The potential of our synergies is limitless. And the chemistry in our relations is effortless. In all this, Indian Americans have played a big role. They are brilliant in every field, not just in spelling bee. With their hearts and minds, talent and skills, and the love for America and India, they have connected us. They have unlocked doors. They have shown the potential of our partnership. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members, every Indian Prime Minister and American President of the past has taken our relationship further. But our generation has to honor of taking it to greater heights. I agree with President Biden that this is a defining partnership of this country, because it serves a larger purpose. Democracy, demography, and destiny give us the purpose. One consequence of globalization has been to cover over concentration of supply chains. We will work together to diversify, decentralize, and democratize supply chains. Technology will determine the security, prosperity, and leadership in the 21st century. That is why our two countries established a new initiative for critical and emerging technologies. Our knowledge partnership will serve humanity and seek solutions to the global challenges of climate change, hunger, and health. Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, the last few years have seen deeply disruptive developments. With the Ukraine conflict, war has returned to Europe. It is causing great pain in the region. Since it involves major powers, the outcomes are severe. Countries of the global south have been particularly affected. The global order is based on the respect for the principle of the UN Charter, peaceful resolution of disputes, and respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity. As I have said directly and publicly, this is not an era of war. But it is one of dialogue and diplomacy. And we all must do what we can to stop the bloodshed and human suffering. Mr. Speaker, the dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Connected by secure seas, defined by international law, free from domination, and anchored in ASEAN centrality. A region where all nations, small and large, are free and fearless in their choices, where progress is not suffocated by an impossible burdens of debt. Where connectivity is not leveraged for strategic purposes, where all nations are lifted by the high tide of shared prosperity. Our vision does not seek to content or exclude, but to build a cooperative region of peace and prosperity. We work through regional institutions and with our partners from within the region and beyond. Of this, Quad has emerged as a major force of good for the region. Mr. Speaker, more than 2 decades after 9/11 and more than a decade after 26/11 in Mumbai, radicalism and terrorism still remain a pressing danger for the whole world. These ideologies keep taking new identity and forms, but their intentions are the same. Terrorism is an enemy of humanity, and there can be no ifs and buts in dealing with it. We must overcome all such forces sponsoring and exporting terror. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19's biggest impact was the human loss and suffering it caused. I wish to remember Congressman Ron Wright and the staff members who lost their lives to COVID. As we emerge out of the pandemic, we must give shape to a new world order. Consideration, care, and concern are the need of the hour. Giving a voice to the global south is the way forward. That is why I firmly believe that the African Union be given full membership of G20. We must revive multilateralism and reform multilateral institutions. With better resources and representation that applies to all our global institutions of governance, especially the United Nations. When the world has changed, our institutions too must change, or risk getting replaced by a world of rivalries without rules. In working for a new world order based on international law, our two countries will be at the forefront as partners. Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, today we stand at a new dawn in our relationship that will not only shape the destiny of our two nations, but also that of the world. As the young American poet Amanda Gorman has expressed, when day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we are brave enough to see it. Our trusted partnership is like the sun in this new dawn that will spread light all around. I am reminded of a poem that I once wrote. आसमान में सिर उठाकर, आसमान में सिर उठाकर, घने बादलों को चीर कर, रोशनी का संकल्प ले, अभी तो सूरज उगा है। अभी तो सूरज उगा है। दृढ़ निश्चय के साथ चलकर, दृढ़ निश्चय के साथ चलकर, हर मुश्किल को पार कर, घोर अंधेरे को मिटाते, घोर अंधेरे को मिटाने अभी तो सूरज उगा है। If I were to say it in English, it would be rising its head in the skies, piercing through the dense clouds with the promise of light. The sun has just risen, armed with a deep resolve, overcoming all the odds to dispel the forces of darkness. The sun has just risen. Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, we come from different circumstances and history, but we are united by a common vision and by a common destiny. When our partnership progresses, economic resilience increases, innovation grows, science flourishes, knowledge advances, humanity benefits, our seas and skies are safer, democracy will shine brighter, and the world will be a better place. That is the mission of our partnership. That is our calling for this century. Mr. Speaker and distinguished members, even by the high standards of our partnership, this visit is one of the great positive transformation. Together, we shall demonstrate that democracy is better and democracy deliver. I count on your continued support to the India-US partnership. When I was here in 2016, I said that our relationship is primed for a momentous future. That future is today. Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, and the distinguished members of this honor. God bless America. Jai Hind. Long live India-US friendship. Thank you.
And there you go, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has finished making his speech at the chamber of the US Congress in front of the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the US Vice President Kamala Harris. And as you can see and also heard, senators have a huge admiration for the Indian Prime Minister, with the ululations and chants of Modi, Modi reverberating across the chamber of the US Congress. That's the Prime Minister now greeting some of the members as he exits the US Congress at the Capitol Hill. Just to give you a glimpse of what the Prime Minister really highlighted in his speech, he began by saying that he is happy to help out whenever the United States or the Congress needs a strong bipartisan consensus. He went on to say the partnership between the United States and India augurs well for the future of democracy. Democracy was the key word for the Prime Minister during his speech, during his hour-and-a-half long speech. He also says India is home to all faiths. in the world, and India celebrates all of them. In India, he says, diversity is a natural way of life. The Prime Minister also did reiterate his motto of when India grows, the whole world grows, and that the vision of together for everyone's growth, with everyone's trust and everyone's efforts. The Prime Minister did also talk about the empowerment of women, saying that empowering women, or the girl child, transforms every nation. He did also speak about the young generation, which he says comprises of a huge chunk of the Indian population, and the younger generation is making it a hub of technology, or rather making India a hub of technology. And speaking about technology, the Prime Minister did outline and said that technology will determine the security, prosperity and leadership in the 21st century. Talking about the war in Ukraine, the Indian Prime Minister did say that this is an era of dialogue and diplomacy and not of war. Talking about the Indo-Pacific region and its status, the Prime Minister of India did indicate that all partners in the Indo-Pacific are together, and that's why they have a grouping called Quad, which has emerged as a major force of good for the Indo-Pacific region. Talking about terrorism, the Indian Prime Minister says the world must overcome all such forces sponsoring and even exporting terror. Giving a voice to the global south is the way forward, and with this, the Prime Minister believes that inclusion of the African Union in the group of 20 nations is a good way forward. And he says that the AU should be given full membership of the G20. So the Prime Minister is exiting and sort of signing autographs to the members of the Congress as he departs Congress and heads back to the White House, where he will go for a state dinner which is hosted by the President of the United States and the First Lady Jill Biden. So once again, the Indian Prime Minister has made his speech before the Congress, his second speech as Prime Minister of India before the Congress. His tour of the United States continues. And as you can see on your screens, senators are big fans of the Indian Prime Minister. Our correspondents, Molly Gambhir and Jessica Stone, are standing by live. I'll begin with Jessica Stone. The Prime Minister is now headed your way for the state dinner. You are telling us that you have sampled what will be in the menu for the Prime Minister. Tell us more about that, Jessica.
Of course, I'd be happy to. I have to tell you, I've done a couple of these state visit previews that the White House offers under Obama, under Trump, and at no point did they ever offer me anything to eat. In fact, I've usually had to describe food that I've never tasted to the public based on the descriptions of the chefs themselves, which you could argue is probably pretty good, but nothing like getting to taste it for yourself. So that this is obviously a vegetarian meal, Eric, and there will be a fish option for those that want to partake in it, but it really has a focus on natural and plant-based ingredients. They've hired this culinary plant-based guru who has been very active in that movement. She's using millet, she's using tofu, she's using all kinds of fresh vegetables, and she's using mushrooms. In this case, a portobello mushroom is the main dish on offer, paired with saffron-infused risotto, and it's on a little cake of it, but it is stuffed with various vegetables, squashes, roasted red pepper, leeks, and it just has this wonderful, smoky, savory texture and taste that really doesn't, even I, who was a vegetarian for 24 years, I hadn't really tasted a mushroom that had so much of a meat-like and uniquely smoky. I think I would really, kind of a barbecue smoky sensation.
Right.
So I think that guests will really enjoy that. And I also got to taste the dessert, because you can't walk away without tasting dessert, right? And that was this lovely little shortbread cookie with cardamom and fresh strawberries, very light, very sweet, very tasty. I think the guests will be very pleased. Perhaps not full, because this is not a filling meal, but it's certainly a gorgeous meal, and every detail out of it is, very well intentioned.
Jessica, I'm actually very curious if the Prime Minister of India will get a chance to eat all of that, because it sounds like it's a lot in the menu. I'll come back to you and then we'll talk more about what to expect at the White House. Let me go to Molly Gambhir. Molly Gambhir, good to see you. The Indian Prime Minister's tour of the United States is almost over. What are some of the major takeaways that we can get from this trip so far?
Well, a series of takeaways, Eric. Let me just start off first with the very message that the Indian Prime Minister has sent out just a short while back through that address to the joint session of the US Congress. First of all, talking about India's linkages with the United States, and also India's linkages with the entire world, saying when India grows, the world grows, and talking about how the partnership between India and the United States has far-reaching implications for the entire world. A specific example that he put out was regarding how India and the United States, when they collaborate on semiconductors, on critical minerals, then that means directly that the supply chains around the world will be more reliable, will be more resilient, and will be more diversified. That's just a sample of the way in which the Indian Prime Minister has stressed upon the importance of giving a further boost to the relationship between India and the United States, which has been the key focus area as far as defense cooperation is concerned, tech ties are concerned, which, as anticipated, have dominated those highlights as well during the Indian Prime Minister's meeting with the US President Joe Biden, where they touched upon a wide range of issues from defense to tech to space to climate change, and also people-to-people ties. And the very fact that the Indian Prime Minister is here on his maiden state visit to the United States, a state visit being the highest expression of friendly ties that the United States can offer, which tells you about the importance that the US is attaching to its relationship with India. And why not? Because there is this growing sense here in the United States of relying on India to counter China, and the opportunities on that front are immense. And the US also hopes to bring in India further into the defense and manufacturing orbit. India looking at the US as a crucial defense partner. And I have to say that defense cooperation, as some of the experts we've been speaking to as well, has been one of the biggest highlights of the visit so far. All eyes, of course, as Jessica was telling us, on the state dinner.
State dinner indeed. Molly Gambhir, I'll be coming back to you to talk more about this bilateral relation and also some of the discussions that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had with the President of the United States. Jessica, coming back to you, this is a statement that was sent out by the First Lady Jill Biden. It says that at night, guests will walk across the South Lawn into a pavilion draped in rich greens with saffron-colored flowers at every table. Also, the statement says, following the dinner, Grammy Award winner Joshua Bell and Pen Masala, an a cappella group from University of Pennsylvania, will perform for the guests. Have you seen some of this? What's the preparation like?
The preparation starts weeks and weeks ago, really, and I'm actually watching now the preparation for them to greet Prime Minister Modi. I was listening to the music and the formations of the color guard that will greet him on the North Portico in the customary fashion for the official state visit status that this visit has been awarded. So you will soon, within, I guess, about an hour and a half's time, see Prime Minister Modi drive up with his motorcade and his delegation up the North Lawn driveway here behind me, and then be greeted by both President Biden and his wife, First Lady Jill Biden, Dr. Biden, in their full regalia. And I'm sure they will be very dressed up, and much will be said and read and written about what they're wearing tonight, as will Prime Minister Modi. So he's still on Capitol Hill. He still has to get home to change for where he's staying,
right,
get ready for tonight. But yes, what we've seen on the South Lawn in terms of preparations, Eric, we've seen some of the pavilion. We've seen people scurrying around, of course, with flowers and food, but we haven't yet smelled any cooking. A lot of this has probably been prepared and is being prepared
indoors
in the kitchen, which we can't get a good sense of. Sometimes when they barbecue out here, we can smell it. We can't smell it because it's probably done inside, which is just as well because it's been pouring rain off and on today.
Something also that has been mentioned so far by the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, is that the guests will end the evening by walking across the moonlit lawn and will be greeted by hundreds of glowing lanterns guiding them home. This is quite significant and symbolic, given that the President of the United States does give an invite, so to speak, and hosts a state dinner for another head of state. Probably many may not know why or how this is symbolic. You could explain that?
Was that a question to me?
Yes. Could you explain the symbolism of
My
this
apologies,
state?
I was having trouble hearing you.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Could you explain the symbolism?
I think certainly it's a beautiful way to Yes, I was just going to add, it's a beautiful way to end the evening. In fact, First Lady Dr. Biden actually said that it will be under a moonlit night that this will be happening. So the symbolism of light, of the Festival of Lights of Diwali for the Indian people, and the significance of following a light and on a path together, as these two nations are. They're really drawing heavily on different types of symbolism in this visit. And the toasts will be made in front of the state birds. We'll have the bald eagle behind President Biden, the peacock behind Prime Minister Modi, and then, as you say, there will be a lot of Indian silk in the pavilion, draping every which way, blues and greens and that saffron color to match what's in the Indian flag. So a very vibrant, bright, and well-lit endeavor, and yes, kind of a mellow and a beautiful way to end the evening with those lanterns.
Jessica, what time is it?
It is 5:22 here, and it appears from what I'm watching that Prime Minister Modi has left Capitol Hill. And I hear the sirens in the distance, and again, he's staying across here from the White House, so he will be coming back here to get prepared for the evening, and we will continue to monitor the events here as they prepare for the welcome here on the North Lawn. Eric, back to you.
Stay there and wait for the Prime Minister to arrive, and we'll see all the niceties that go with this state dinner. Jessica Stone reporting live from the White House in Washington, D.C. You are watching WION World is One. We are expecting the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to head to the White House, where he will be hosted for a state dinner with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. Stay with WION World is One.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your